far be it from me to tell anyone not to do what they think to be good and right. That said, it's become common for people with some level of celebrity to argue against the idea of following your passions. Hello, this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Sunday, the 10th of January of 2021. Hope I have the date right today. That's been a problem for me recently. Welcome to you who are coming to view me on Rumble or YouTube, and on those who might be listening on the podcast as well. Subject of today's first segment, I'm going to do two today, is following your passions. By the way, the reason I'm doing the second one is I feel like it's very important and I want to get the message out as quickly as I'm able to do so. The reason I'm recording this, because as I've said, a lot of people have talked about it, is that I'm trying to sort of bring together some ideas that I think maybe are sort of disparate in the minds of a lot of people as they've been sort of stated in the loose fashions in a variety of places. To begin with, I want to make it very clear. I'm not averse to the idea of people following your passions, what drives you. I'm not averse to that idea as a part of who you are and what you do. What I have a major problem with is people doing so to the exclusion of sensible action on those people's part. Of all I do, making videos and podcasts is the one thing about which I'm probably most passionate, the thing I enjoy the most, the thing that I really would like to spend my time doing if I had my choice. But the thing about it is, if I lose the ability to do that on a more or less permanent basis, where it'll be a sad day, I'll still have the things that are actually primarily making my life what it needs to be and doing so for the rest of my family as well. My little videos and podcasts are not where I earn a living. They're not. At some point, maybe that will happen, but it's not what's happening right now for me. And it doesn't mean that I don't put everything into the videos. I do. I spend not a huge amount of time, but considering how long the videos are, I spend a fair amount of time actually getting the videos ready, getting the podcasts ready, excuse me, taking the time to prep for doing the videos, setting up my little world as best I can, and so forth. I spend a lot of time doing that. But the thing of it is, where I don't mind what I do for work, in fact, I sort of enjoy it, quite frankly, the thing that pays me, I'm not nearly so passionate about what I do for a living as what my, quote, alter ego, end of quote, does, right? Thing is, I have to eat. More importantly, my son has to eat. He has to have a roof over his head and so forth. If that weren't enough to keep me tied to my workaday job, being so makes it possible for me to do things both he and I want. Not that we need, you understand, right? The shelter over your head, the clothes on your back, the food on the table, those are things you want. But being able to buy a TV, being able to have internet service, being able to buy Legos for him, being able to buy things that I know that I want that maybe are not necessarily things that I need, those things are important things that make me continue to do my standard job until and unless I get to the point where I can support myself out of doing the videos and the podcasts and, again, blogging when I can get back to doing that. One day, perhaps I'll be well enough received to make my little pieces my bread and butter. But the truth is, for now, I have to live with the idea that's not the case. The result is my passion cannot be, at present, what drives my activity for the most part. This is an important thing that I think a lot of young folks don't understand that they really need to. You need to recognize something. Do you want to follow your dreams? That's great. But if you let them control you to the degree that you fail to achieve basic things you need and want in life, you're not doing anyone any favors. And the thing is, that's particularly true if somebody else is actually picking up the slack on that. Remember that when a person, quote, follows their dreams and they're doing so when their parents or grandparents or whatever are paying their way in life, that's not really a beneficial thing. It's hard. to not be able to just do what you would like to do with your time and with your effort. I get that. I think we all get that. I think everybody gets that. Trust me, there are lots of things, like I say, that I'd like to be doing today that I know are not things that I'm going to be able to achieve or attain in the ways that I'd like to do so. And the result is that I'm working very hard doing the things that I know will help me to achieve and attain my ends and goals, so that I can get to the point where either I don't have to do anything if I don't want to anymore, which is really where I'd like to be anyway, to be quite frank with you. Excuse me, I'm itchy today. Anyway, but at the same time, to be able to do the things that I really have a passion for, really enjoy, and really want to do, like making my videos and doing my podcasts. The point is, though, if I just try to do the videos and the podcasts, and even if I throw myself into doing that, I'm not doing anybody any favors. And I'm just going to tell you something. There have been a bunch of people who people have decided had meteoric rises to fame, right? Well, if you ask those people, for the most part, they'll tell you things like, yeah, I had a meteoric rise to fame over 20 or 30 years. That doesn't mean that they gave up. That doesn't mean that they stopped doing what it was that they set themselves to do and wanted to do. What it means is that those people realized, I'm going to have to continue to do things to keep me afloat, to keep me alive, or I'm going to have to be willing to sacrifice and not get those things that I want, certain of those things that I want, if I take the time to follow my dreams. It's that simple. We don't like it. We don't want to do that. That is to say, to follow our workaday things as the primary thing and our dreams and our passions as a secondary thing. I just want to say, too, that there's this issue that I think a lot of people don't realize. Well, maybe they do, I don't know. But it is that there are a lot of people out there who, if you look at the things that they're passionate about, things that they're passionate about aren't worth a hill of beans. In fact, some of them are literally harmful. There are people out there who want and do things that literally will hurt themselves or other people if they proceed along the paths that they're currently on. And this is another reason that maybe following your passions is something that you ought to examine pretty closely, because the question is, are you actually doing something that is beneficial for yourself and, in my opinion, more importantly, for others, in what you're doing when you follow those desires of, deepest desires of your heart, right? It's lovely to have passion about things. That's wonderful. But the reality is, as I've said before, much of life is lived in the spaces. It isn't lived in the time when I'm doing my videos. It isn't lived in the time when I'm doing my podcast. It's lived in the time when I'm making breakfast or eating lunch or doing laundry or mowing the yard or going to work. It's lived in the spaces. It's in times where you may think those times are boring and not worth anything, but they're things that have to happen nonetheless. So your passion is wonderful. Your dreams are wonderful. The desires of your heart are wonderful. But if they're not paying the bills, then probably you need to realize that those things either need to not be considered in that way, or that you need to make a whole lot of sacrifices before, they really actually do what it is that you want them to do. You might even decide that the things that you're passionate about are not things that you can really support, okay? I have a family member who was an artist. In fact, I have a couple of them, and neither of them ended up in the art world in what they ended up doing in their lives. That it's not the thing that paid the bills. It's just not the thing that paid the bills. They love doing it. In fact, I really have multiple family members like that, and multiple family members who were into music and knew that they weren't going to survive doing that. So, and I'm not saying they just quit. Some of them did, some of them sort of quit. But some of them kept doing it even though they knew that it wasn't going to pay their bills, and they used it as the thing that kept joy in their lives. And that's okay. That's acceptable. That's fine. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap this up now. As I say, I'm going to do another segment today, so look out for that. The other segment is going to be on censorship, and it's very important and for very important reasons. So if you get the chance to check it out, please do so. And please, while you're at it, think about supporting the people that I'm talking about a little bit, because they really, really need our support, if nothing else, in prayers and in good thoughts. All right, today, as I say, is the 10th of January of 2021. It is Sunday. I think I've got that right today. Hope you're having a good day. Today is the start of the week for a lot of people, and that's true for me as well. Tomorrow, of course, will be the start of the work week, and it will be the 11th of January of 2021, and it will, of course, be Monday. Hope your week to come is a good one, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Sunday, the 10th of January of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.